Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor, proclamation, news and governance, always working on progressive progression. We're trying to actually build an audience, so if you'd like to subscribe and share, I appreciate it. Everyone listening as well. We're just going in today's formation, UK politics, showbiz, what conservative who I'm supporting. I'll be with you there shortly, Sean. Just got to do my day today, resume. We're on Castbox, YouTube, Facebook, Plenty of Fish, and we're on Big O TV. Welcome on board. I'm on YouTube. I'll put my links up there in the comments, I think, it's up there. Give us a follow if you I'm trying to share it as well to get more followers. That's the main aim. Here we go in today's formation. Coronavirus FM urges pub goers not to drop their guard. Still be safe. Is that possible when people have a drink? I don't know. I sacrifice alcohol. Don't drink. Two of the first customers to be served at the Scotsman's pub in Edinburgh early in the week. They seem like, honourable gentlemen, old folks, probably retired, enjoying themselves in the pub. So they're probably quite, they're quite fashionable in the way they drink. The First Minister has warned people not to drop their guard as Scotland heads into the first week of pubs and restaurants being opened indoors. Nicola Sturgeon said the nation's collective sacrifices had helped the virus under control and urged Scots to keep it up. The reopening of indoor spaces require antivirus precautions to be in place. Customers will also be asked to provide their name and phone number as part of the NHS Test and Protect scheme. Scottish pubs were able to open their beer gardens last weekend, but this is the first weekend since the COVID-19 lockdown began in March that they have been able to allow customers inside. I mean, do you think everyone's going to be acting in sensible mannerism, especially the youth of today, have a drink? I mean, you got women going out, and men have been in lockdown, like I was saying before. Men have been on lockdown, are going to be like dogs on heat, but women can be the same as well, as we know through Mary Wollstonecraft. She's a very good philosopher writer, writing about feminism, but also saying that they've got the same way of thinking as a man. So we're not all, we paint us men as complete dogs, but we're all the same kind. We all have the same needs, and we all have the same moments. We all think the same. Some of us men are a bit more masculine than what women are, but I know women that are stronger than men, so it's not always the case. Scottish pubs were able to open their beer gardens last weekend, but this is the first weekend since the COVID-19 lockdown began in March that they have been able to allow customers inside. Reflecting on the latest coronavirus figures, Ms. Sturgeon tweeted, "Another day yesterday with no deaths. It registered of people who confirmed COVID. My thanks to everyone across Scotland. Our collective sacrifices have helped get the virus under control. Please keep it up. Let's not drop our guard now." Colin Wilkins from the Scottish Licensed Trade Association said he was confident that the pubs and bars could provide the right environment for people to enjoy a safe visit. But he told BBC Scotland that customers should be aware of the new regulations when using pubs. I'm going to talk about a bit of a public austerity before we go on to the next subject as well, which, it's showing my intelligence within politics and further reading. We'll work in a very heavily regulated industry anyway, so we're used to dealing with customers, he said. Customers have their part to play as well, and we're asking those to do visit our pubs to be with us and comply with the necessary restrictions that are now in place. Certainly, visits to our pubs will be different, but everything that can be done will be done to ensure that a visit to the pub is as enjoyable as it was before. Mr. Wilkins also urged pubs and bars to gather customers' contact details as requested by the Scottish Government, saying there should be no confusion over whether this needs to be done. I think it's a good idea, so you keep them policed. Ones acting in sensible mannerism should be allowed an entry back in the door, and the ones that break the limits, should not be allowed in. It's making it fair for everyone to enjoy a couple of sherbets in the local boozer, if you like. I can say in the aristocracy socially, but I'm surmising that we've got all different characteristics coming to my YouTube channel. Um, and I want to reach all the different occupants inside our dominion. So there you go. The test and protect is one thing that's going to help us, because the last thing we wanted to spike coming back now. That the industry back up and open, he added. So what I'm thinking after this coronavirus over Christmas, remember Charles Dickens' book, The Christmas Carol? Well, like I was saying before, that was public austerity he was writing about, not just, I mean, we know The Christmas Carol when we're younger years as a haunted book about Marley the ghost who died at the start of the book. The start of the narrative theatre play. It was a ghost. Marley haunted Scrooge because he didn't enjoy Christmas. But but the bottom line is a public austerity going through Christmas time. Obviously, maybe something like this at the time was on the horizon when Charles Dickens wrote the book. Very clever man. The way he narrated it, very intelligent. He must have loads of time and very mindfulness at the time. One of Charles Dickens was in prison at the time, had loads of time in his hand. Because when I write good stories myself, I'm a very good philosopher. Some people may know or may not know, or may need to get to know. Possibly, quite possibly, need to get to know. If they come by, listen in, a bit more recognition, a bit more acknowledgement, we'd be on the same level platform, and you'd understand my intelligence. Well, Charles Dickens wrote that book about children suffering their losses at Christmas. Their families couldn't afford uh, decent Christmas meals. They couldn't afford children's Christmas presents. I mean, I haven't had a lot of support in my financial status. Doesn't matter. I'm doing this daily, trying to bring enjoyment to our democracy. Not had a great deal of support, but I'm still living my head above water. I live with £60 a month for shopping, and that's it. And that's all I do. And the rest of the time, I'm sitting indoors, um, giving amazing intelligence. Do I get paid for it? No, I don't. But do I enjoy it? I have to enjoy it. I've got no choice. Being an alienated parent as well, I'll do what I can get by. I'm hoping one day people will give me the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, I've suffered secondary Raynaud's disease, hence the main reason why I've had to give up my professional boxing career. It's been the benefit of the doubt why I'm taking these sacrifices. Anyway, here we go. Arson suspected in Nantes Cathedral. Next, ladies and gents, let's enjoy the cast. Nantes arson suspecting fire and Saint Pierre in Saint Paul Cathedral. I've got my YouTube thing, guys. If you want to look at me, I'm looking straight at my camera. I'm on my YouTube at the minute as well. So I'm also giving you all entertainment. People on Castbox, people on Big O TV, I appreciate you all. Nantes arson suspecting a fire at Saint Pierre in Saint Paul Cathedral. As I was saying, someone set a fire, didn't they? A fire at a cathedral in the French of Nantes is believed to have been started deliberately, prosecutors say. 3 fires were there started at the site. An investigation into suspected arson is underway. Prosecutor Pierre Senis said the blaze destroyed stained glass windows and the grand organ at the Saint Pierre Saint Paul Cathedral, which dates from the 15th century. It comes a year after a devastating fire at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. But a local fire chief said the fire in Nantes had been contained and was not a Notre Dame scenario. The damage is concentrated at the organ, which appears to be completely destroyed. The platform it is situated on very unstable and risks collapsing. Laurent Furley told reporters the cathedral roof had not been touched by the blaze, he said. President Emmanuel Macron has reached tweeting after Notre Dame at St. Peter and St. Paul Cathedral is in flames. Support the firemen who are taking all the risks to save the Gothic jewel. The French fire service tweeted footage on the blaze. The fire began in the early morning. The massive flames visible from outside the building. More than 100 firefighters brought it under control after several hours. Mr. Senes said the National Police would be involved in this investigation and a fire expert was travelling to Nantes. Where we arrive at the place as the fire was taking place, when you see 3 separate fire outbreaks, it is a question of common sense. You open an investigation, he said. Newsagent Jean-Yves Bourbon said he heard a bang at about 0730 hours. Local time is 0530 GMT and saw flames when he went out to see what was happening. He said I'm shook up, he says, because I've been here 8 years and I've seen at the cathedral every morning, every evening. It's our cathedral, and I've got tears in my eyes, he told the Reuters. This is not the first fire cathedral. It was damaged by Allied bombing in 1944 during the World War II, and then in 1972. Its roof was largely destroyed. It was built 13 years later, with a concrete structure replacing the wooden roof. In 2015, a huge fire destroyed part of the 19th century cathedral, the city of St. Donatin in Nantes. I hope you're keeping up with me, ladies and gents, enjoying the class, enjoying the journalism. I do it daily. I do this many days, many days, absolutely. Flying through the different segments. I hope you enjoy different regions, not just UK politics. Also got a bit of showbiz coming up, a bit more enjoyment for the listeners, a bit more reason to be coming on board, subscribing, sharing, and give me some encouragement. That's what it's all about. Building trustees within our friends. Coronavirus, Boris Johnson sets out plans for significant normality by Christmas. Coronavirus restrictions will ease further in England on the plan for a significant return to normality by Christmas. Boris Johnson has announced under the new guidelines people may use public transport for journeys immediately, while advice for employees will change from August, 1st of August. Companies will have more discretion to bring staff back to workplaces if it is safe to do so. The PM has explained. Mr. Johnson added he was hoping for the best and planning for the worst. At a news conference at Downing Street, the Prime Minister said the plan remains conditional on continued progress in controlling the virus and preventing a second wave of infections that would overwhelm the NHS. Boris Johnson, and we got Johnson Jr. giving you the journalism. Enjoy. At a news conference at Downing Street, the Prime Minister said the plan remains conditional on continued progress on control of coronavirus and preventing a second wave of infections that could overwhelm the NHS. Just repeat last sentence, we know where we are. It was strong and sincere hope that we'll be able to review the outstanding restrictions and allow a more significant return to normality from November at the earliest possible in time for Christmas, he said. The developed administration in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have the power to set their own timings for the easing of restrictions. In the announcement, Mr. Johnson said that the government was making it clear to people in England they may use public transport now. From the 1st of August, he said, instead of a government telling people to work from home, we're open to give employers more discretion, and ask them to make decisions about their staff can work safely. He explained that could mean continuing to work from home, which is one way of working safely and which has worked for many employers and employees. However, the Welsh Government said it would carry on advising people to work from home. It's proclamation, news and gatherings, ladies and gentlemen. Please share and subscribe. Give me some acknowledgement and encouragement. Very important that we give each other a help in hand. Responding to Mr. Johnson's announcement, First Minister Mark Drakeford said, I positively don't want people to return to offices in the way that we did before coronavirus happened. The government current social distancing guidance requires people to stay at least 1 metre apart from certain precautions. On Friday, a further 114 coronavirus deaths were announced, taking the total number of people who have died with the virus in the UK to 45,233. It comes as Public Health England said it was pausing the publication of the daily death figure, while officials investigate claims the numbers may have been distorted. On Thursday, the government's chief scientific advisor, Sir Patrick Vallance, told MPs there was absolutely no reason to change the government's current guidance on working from home. The government has advised people to work from home if you can since March, and Sir Patrick said home working was still a perfectly good option for many. He asked about those comments at the news conference. Mr. Johnson said he totally agrees with Sir Patrick, and that was not for the government to tell employers where their workforce should be. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said he will look at the details of the government's plan to get people back to work, but stressed this can't be done on a wing and a prayer, and requires a credible plan and national leadership. Smaller companies need support. Business groups have warned any mass return to work meeting was unlikely. Smaller companies, in particular, would need more support to get workers back. Mike Sherry from the Federation of Small Business said, small firms have been tasked and consulted employees and putting their right measures in place to ensure a safe return to work, he said. After weeks or little or no income, they will need help, both funding and advice, to make that happen. Edward Morgan. Edward Morgan, Director of Policy at the Institute of Directors, said childcare and concerns about using public transport were still issues for many employers. Trained union body, the TUC, accused the ministers of passing buck on this big decision to employers and said more investment in public transport would be needed to make commuting safer. At a glance, the latest changes in England. From 25th of July, indoor gyms, pools and other sports facilities can be open. On the 1st of August, the government will update its advice on going to work, asking employers to make decisions about how their staff can work safely. From the same date, most remaining leisure settings, including bowling, skating rinks, casinos, and all those contact services such as beauticians will be allowed to reopen. Livendorf Theatre and concerts will be able to resume with social distance audiences. Wedding receptions for up to 30 people will also be allowed from next month. From September, schools, nurseries and colleges will be open for all children and young people on full-time basis, while universities and also working to be open as fully as possible. From October, the government intends to allow audiences to return to stadiums while conferences and other business events can recommence, subject to outcome of pilots. The Prime Minister reiterated previously announced plans to pause the shielding programme for vulnerable people in England at the end of July, but disability groups expressed their concern that this will come as employers are asked to consider bringing staff back to workplaces. James Taylor from Charity Scope said the Prime Minister's announcement would ring alarm bells for disabled people who were extremely anxious about the change. Also, the 1st of August, Mr. Johnson has said most remain leisure settings, such as bowling alleys, skating rinks and casinos, and close contact services such as beauticians could resume. Indoor performances with socially distanced audiences in theatres, music and performance venues will also be allowed from next month. However, soft play areas and nightclubs will remain closed beyond the date, although they will be kept under review. From October, he said fans could be able to return to sports stadiums if pilot events go well. The up-and-coming World Snooker Championship in Sheffield, Inglorious Goodwood Horse Racing Festival, and two men's county cricket friendly matches are set to be among the trial sporting fixtures. Looking at analysis by James Gallagher, health and science correspondent. Winter is a big concern. The problem is we don't know how well coronavirus will spread as the nights draw in. The pandemic really kicked off in the spring, so we don't know what the winter of COVID-19 will look like. There is evidence that the virus survives longer in cool temperatures and similar infections, including flu, do get winter boosts. So how will the virus behaves and the effectiveness of NHS and trace, it will dictate on how many of the restrictions can annually be lifted. Sage documents have been released today, raised serious doubts about how far we can go. They said it is not possible to turn to normality without levels of contact tracing and other coronavirus protections. That would be difficult to achieve. It advised the government should already be planning how measures should be reintroduced. The Prime Minister indicated the social distance measures could be relaxing further for loved ones, he said. Throughout the period, we will look to allow more close contact between friends and family where we can. Second wave. Mr. Johnson's talking about the second wave here. Mr. Johnson also confirmed an additional £3 billion in funding for the NHS to help prepare for potential second wave infections and to cope with its usual winter pressures. An expansion in testing capacity to target 50,000 tests, 500,000 tests a day by the end of October. It would help identify positive coronavirus cases among people with symptoms of seasonal illnesses, he added. It comes days after scientists said the UK could see about 120,000 new coronavirus deaths in a second wave of infections this winter, if mitigations were to be put in place. In addition to further easing of lockdown restrictions in England, Mr Johnson unveiled new powers for local authorities to manage outbreaks of the virus in their areas. He said local authorities would have the power to close premises, close off public outdoor spaces and cancel events. Ministers will also receive clearer guidance on where they can intervene close while whole sectors of types of premises in the area and advise people in their specific postcodes to stay home. It has to be right that we take local action in response to local outbreaks. There is no point shutting down a city in part of the country to contain an outbreak in another part of the country. Mr Johnson said, "How you doing, Mish? Welcome. I'm doing my daily task, my daily journalism as I do. I'm on all my social media platforms. Welcome, nice to see you. I'll be with you shortly if you're still here. But, ladies and gents, I'm going to give you an update. People would say politics, schmolitics, not interested. But you got clothes on your back, you got food to eat, you got bread on the table, you got water to drink. It's all to do with our government supporting us for this absolute ludicrous situation that we're going through, this pandemic lockdown. Not many people give it a thought that without the government you wouldn't be fed. I think people should take it on board and abbreviate in their life. Give politics the time of day. Maybe vote. It may well be worth voting. Think about voting. Who you going to vote for? 1945. My granddad was in the World War II, so I've always stuck with Conservative. With Winston Churchill was a Conservative Prime Minister at that time. I was born in 1983, Margaret Thatcher's era, and we had the Great Maze Escape. We had the Gulf War, Battle of the Falklands. Anyway, under 26 to sign up for Conservatives is £5 a year. Standard party membership and all associated benefits is offered at a special £5 rate to those aged under 26. A standard rate to vote for Conservative is £25 a year. Members play an active role in the party, can attend our conference and receive voting rights in party elections after 3 months of membership, all for £25 a year. I mean, you can see why I joined the social elite on the aristocracy social elite group, radio casting on Castbox, YouTube. I'm on Big O TV, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm in it because my cousin was also a Queen's Guard, and my other cousin's husband was a prison guard, and we've got high intel jobs, and this is what I want to do. It's reporting, being a reporter. It's journalism. I enjoy it. Armed Forces, £15 a year. Standard party membership and all associated benefits is offered at a reduced rate for serving and former members of our armed forces. I respect their Queen. I've got a lot of Queen stuff in my house. Always watching the Queen at Christmas time. She does a speech. It's traditional in my family that we sit there and watch the Queen's speech. What's your membership gets you? Helps you win elections. It chooses candidates and vote in leadership elections. Take part in campaign groups. Come to conference. Get the latest inside the party. Influence party policy. Connect with local Conservatives. Stand for election. Hi Ash, I'll be with you 2 seconds. Ash, nearly finished here. Just going until the show is. It'll be about 5 minutes and I'm with you. Thank you everyone for joining. My YouTube channel is Proclamation. I'll put Showbiz, Jedward. We're talking about Jedward. Remember Jedward? We outrage it's part of the pop culture. Jedward accused Simon Cowell of deleting their legacy after removal of their 2009 under pressure from the streaming services. Did they enter Celebrity Jungle? I'm pretty sure they did, because I think I remember seeing them with Ant and Dec. Jedward has accused Simon Cowell of trying to delete their legacy after one of their most iconic tracks was removed from streaming. The singing twins, all named John and Edward Grimes, took to Twitter to accuse a music mogul of putting their cover of Vanilla Ice under pressure. Oh my goodness. Sorry about this. Sorry about this, ladies. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Having a issue here. Slight issue. Singing twins were all named Jedward, that's it. Jedward performed under pressure at X Factor in 2009 in a performance that's gone down in TV history. We went on to release the track in a single that charted at number 2 in the UK. Thank you all for tuning, guys. It's definitely worth thinking about voting. It's really important that you vote, really is, because if we didn't get the vote in our favour, what you don't know what could happen. Madden Sir Keir Starmer won the vote, and I mean, he's only significant to Boris Johnson. Absolutely not. Boris Johnson is phenomenal. He fixed the policing. Everything's under control for this pandemic lockdown, making sure our lockdown measures are all intact. Although other for the task of this lockdown, making sure people keep social distancing and slowly going back into pubs, who are removed from streaming. Hey, doing snipers. Well, I sit on. I'm just gonna leave that there with Jedward, ladies and gents. But it's been emotional on YouTube. Well, like I say, thank you for actually coming together. If you can share, if you can subscribe, I appreciate it. It's proclamation and governments. It's the prodigious, prominent professor. I do like to give myself a bit of a high intel name, so people come by, give me some respect that I deserve. I'm not. I've got an urban dictionary, but I don't dare use it. Trying to keep this professional cast, and I hope you'll enjoy it and give me some respect and appreciate it. I don't want to be going down the route 69 of Urban Dictionary. Stupid activity. Thank you. God bless. Take care. Have a wonderful day on YouTube. How you doing, Mrs. Snipes?